hopefully have seen text videos from me encouraging you to take the next important step after registering, which is to enroll in classes, complete your knowledge assessments. We're really excited to have you with us at Ivy Tech. We think that it being that we're the largest singly accredited community college in the country and Indiana's community college, I think we have a terrific set of offerings that will really help you get to the next level in your career. So, can't say enough about the people that you're going to meet today. We've just got some phenomenal student leadership, some, amazing administrators, some really strong people that are focused on your success, and a lot of great organizations ranging from our student life organization to our career coaching and employer engagement engagement organization, all of which are really focused on trying to figure out how to make sure that you're perfectly positioned for success when you graduate with your certificate, certification, or degree. So, if there's anything you need, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're all here to make you successful. At the end of the day, what we're really interested in doing is learning more about you and, hopefully helping you to frame your success story that's going to start here at Ivy Tech. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time. There's a lot of good information that you're going to be receiving today. And I just want to wish you the best of luck. And, please, if you ever have any challenges or issues and you're thinking about stopping out or dropping out, please reach out to your advisor, reach out to me, reach out to Kathy Kent, reach out to somebody to make sure that you've exhausted all the possibilities for resources that are available to help you persist. Because at the end of the day, the people that persist are the ones that are successful in life. It's this level of grit that's going to differentiate you in the workplace and figuring out how to accommodate the challenges that all of us face on a daily basis. So I know that some are greater than others, but please, make a point of networking and connecting with the administration so we can help you in any possible way.
You have turned off.
So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Stephanie.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. It came up, said I was muted. So I was surprised that happened when I had hit unmute. So I just wanted to show you, or went to the slide with the agenda. We are going to go over our technology that we use at Ivy Tech and all of the tools that you need to be successful. We will have a section on being a successful student in the classroom. Those two are kind of the bulk of the day. So take notes, ask questions. We want it to be as interactive as possible. And then we will have some of our staff from career development, student life, Ivy Cares, advising, and financial aid join us towards the end, and then wrap it up with a Q&A session to make sure all of your questions are answered. Like I mentioned, it is jam-packed. I do have a couple other folks that I want to introduce. So Dr. Balkin is Chancellor of Ivy Tech South Bend-Elkhart. With us, we also have Dr. Kent and Dr. Hall, and I think both of them want to say a quick hello. So I'm going to pass the microphone over first to Dr. Kent and then Dr. Hall.
Well, welcome. I am so excited to be here. My role with the college is the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, and so I get the honor of working with the faculty in the classrooms and curriculum, and really we're just all about the student success. And so, as our Chancellor has said, there are going to be a lot of people you're going to be meeting in the next couple of days here or next couple of weeks. And you find that person that you feel like you can talk to. You're going to have program chairs. You're going to have faculty. Make that connection. Ask questions, because we're all here to make sure that you're going to be a success. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kent, and then Dr. Hall. So you were here as well.
I am. Good evening. Welcome. So I'm Dr. Hall. I am the Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Services. In that role, I get to work with folks like the registrar in our financial aid office and our admissions office. So probably a lot of the folks who you worked with to get to the point you're at today and ready to start your classes. I just wanted to thank you all for being here and to share how excited we are to start this journey with you and let you know that we're here to support you in any way possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out if we can be of assistance.
Thank you very much. And then last person that I'd like to introduce, and he's actually going to then take the microphone for a little while, is our Vice Chancellor of Student Success, Ethan Zagori.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Ethan Segura, Vice Chancellor of Student Success at Ivy Tech South Bend-Elkhart. Happy to be here. I'm going to share some student success information with you, and just want to commend you for taking the time not only to attend this orientation, but for taking the initiative to enroll with everything going on right now in the world. I think that that's something that, that shows your initiative, and it shows how diligent you are about succeeding and furthering your academics. And so we want to thank you, personally, not only as Ivy Tech Community College, staff and faculty, but just personally with everything going on for joining us today. So I'm going to walk you through some of these student success commitments, and these are important, and there's some information to go along with them, but we'll start with the first one here. Under the student column on your left-hand side, attend class, learn the names of your instructors, and work to develop a relationship of trust with them. So this is critical because there's a lot that goes into being a successful student. Simply attending class, doing your reading, doing your homework, submitting your papers, doing your tests, that is the core and the basis of what you do. But there are a lot of things from the outside that are important in terms of you being successful. For instance, the classmates that you will have, your peers, that is a network of people for you to make sure that you can continue to develop, to have relationships with. So even though we're doing a lot of class in a virtual setting, it's important for you to understand that the person next to you might be able to help you get an internship, or might be able to help you, a family member, get a job, might be able to help you study during the way. So you have to connect with them, and you have to make sure that you're being interactive. Don't let that group of peers who could help you along the way go to the wayside and just focus on your academics. Understand how important your peers are to your success. Also, with our instructors, they love to teach. Nobody's forcing them to teach. They're voluntarily teaching. And so they love the subject matter. They're teaching, they're knowledgeable about it. And if you need help, you need to ask them for help. Don't let it get into, week 3 or 4 before you need help. Reach out to them because they are investing in your success. They don't not only want to teach and convey the information, they want to make sure that you learn the information. That's the essence of what they're doing. So you have to make sure also that you want to get to know them. I mean, you have recommendations for, internships, for jobs, for different academic programs. And so they can serve as a valuable resource in that regard as well. So it's very important to get the good relationship with your professors, to be extremely respectful, and to understand that they are invested in your success and they want to see you make it. That's important. Number 2, complete what you start. So we all have a lot of things going on. I mean, family life, a lot of us have jobs, some of us might have kids, some of us might be caring for our parents or elders. And so we understand that you're making the time commitment to fit Ivy Tech into what you're doing, and we appreciate that. But it's important, whether you're registering for a class, whether you're doing a paper, whether you're studying for a test, that you complete what you start. To procrastinate, it usually ends up in a lower grade. It might end up with you not finishing an assignment, not studying thoroughly the way you should. So when you start something, it's important to complete it. When you look at going to Ivy Tech, or really in any process that you begin, completing one class, that is important to complete a class, but completing a paper or an assignment or studying for a test, that's a small part of a process of you completing the class. And then you'll have additional classes and you will basically complete that process. So everything you do really counts. And you have to look at it. If your goal is graduation, if it's a certain career field or a job, you have to understand that you have micro goals to get you there. And so try to go ahead and finish your class. And again, if you need help, just ask for that. But it's very important for your self-esteem, for what you're doing, for your goal setting, and for your future to complete what you start. Attempting each assignment, it sounds simple, but effort is everything. You might have people along the way in your life who you might deem to be, more intelligent or have more income or have more experience, but there's nothing like effort. When you truly give your effort and you complete each assignment or study for every quiz or for every test, that means a whole lot. It really does. And so, and understand that your instructors and your peers are looking at that as well. Your peers know who is prepared for class or not. Your instructor knows as well. And so an instructor, again, they love to teach and they're knowledgeable about the field. They want to know what they're conveying to you, that you're understanding it, and they want to see your effort in the classroom. When I was attending and finishing my bachelor's degree, I actually had a calculus. I probably should have got a D in the class, but I had a calculus professor who just saw me go into office hours, which are very important to do as well. I'll talk about that later. But he saw me studying. He sent me in study groups. He saw me trying my best. And he turned a C, what was really a C, like a 79 point something, into a B for me because he saw the effort that I gave. And I guarantee you that's going to happen with every professor. But the point is that, you know, in terms of giving your effort and attempting each assignment and just being present and being diligent about what you do, that's important. Develop well-organized and disciplined study habits. There are time commitments for you to be successful in class outside of the time that you just spend in class. You must have time to read. You must have time to study. You must have time to maybe meet with peers virtually. You know, you have to do the things. And so when you're registered for, let's say, a 3-hour class or a 4-hour class, understand the other time commitment that goes with that. You need to be letting your friends, your family, you know, at times your employer know that this is what you're doing. You're embarking on something where you're trying to be successful in your class, and your class is part of a process that's going to get you to a graduation with a degree or a certificate. And so, you know, you need to prepare for that. Just don't start class and then be like, oh my God, I have to study. You know, this is what you have to do as part of you being a student. So go ahead and set the time to be successful in that. In terms of being organized, just try to make sure however you organize yourself, whether it's a to-do list, whether it's a schedule on your phone, make sure you're organized so you're not racing for things at the last minute. You know, life throws curveballs. So this, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Stay organized so you can be serious about your studies. Lastly, ask questions and be prepared to use campus resources such as tutoring, disability support services, you know, when needed. If you are struggling, reach out to your professor. But we also have tutoring here. We have other faculty and staff that serve as mentors. I cannot impress upon you enough to do not struggle. Do not be ashamed to ask, because these are resources that the college is paying to make sure that you get what you need and that you're successful here. So that's very important. Disability support services, we have one of the best DSS directors in the state, and Senator Roberts, and she is very serious about making sure you get the accommodations you need. She's very confidential. She's just great at her job, and she's a great person. And so if you need some accommodations, if you want to reach out to her, she's going to take care of you. And I think that you should know that that's from semester to semester, or term to term, and that she can reach out to professors and help you. Don't sit back and struggle, and don't be ashamed of something that you deserve if you need to take advantage of that service. So that's important. So I will go ahead and stop there. Just want to mention one more thing about office hours, okay? I know a lot of us are going to be going to school in a virtual setting, but when you're attending class, that's one thing, you know, in front of your instructor. When you're studying and you're doing the thing on your own or with a group virtually, that's another thing. But instructors have virtual office hours outside of the classroom time that they're instructing. So when you do need help, you could always contact an instructor. You can send an email. A lot of times the office hours, virtual or in person, will be located on the front page of the syllabus. And so make sure that you know, if you feel like you're struggling, if you have a question about something, take advantage of office hours. That's very, very important to do, not only this term, but moving forward. So I want to say thank you again for your commitment. If you ever need help, I'm going to put my, you know, my name and my cell phone number and email in there. And, you know, forget all the titles. We're all people who just here trying to help you out. And so make sure you reach out and understand we're investing in your success. And thank you for making a commitment.
Ethan, thank you so much. I'm
Thanks,
actually
Stephanie.
going to move on to a couple of other things. I'm emailing a few folks that did not have the new link, so I'm going to be working on that behind the scenes. While I am doing that, our technology, in education technology expert is Lisa Tolliver, and she is going to go over everything that you might need to know as a brand new student coming in about Ivy Learn in My Ivy. And you may have seen that probably about a half an hour before the session, everyone who had RSVP'd, I added you to a practice class. It's called New Student Orientation, and it's a way for you over the next week and a half to play around in a practice class that you can't really do anything wrong in there. And I'm sure Lisa would say the same thing, that allows you to feel a little more comfortable on day one. And Lisa's going to be using that in her presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the virtual microphone over to Lisa and let her take over. I'm going to stop sharing my screen as well. All right, Lisa, it is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted everybody to see me before I put my avatar back up there. Welcome. And several of you, I know, emailed me earlier when you couldn't get in, and I sent you the next links. Yay, keep it up. I am here to help you. Another person that's here to help you succeed. The way I do that is through the technologies. And we have quite a few technologies here on campus that you'll be using. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video because I don't want to interrupt. And then I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to start right here. So a lot of you probably have started here when you applied for the college. This is just ivytech.edu. And up here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice My Ivy and Ivy Learn. And this is how we divide things up here on campus. My Ivy, which I'll go to first, sign in, I already signed in, has everything to do with college life that's not in the classroom. Okay, so on here on the home page, we have where you can update information here. We do have Ivy Learn here, Ivy Life, some of the things that you can do around campus, an answer center, Ivy Alert. This is one thing I want to point out. Ivy Alert is you want to go in and fill in your information so that if we would have a campus closing for some reason, that would send you that notification. Now, campus closing means that everything would be virtual. So we're not canceling classes anymore. It's just going to be virtual. But if for some reason you were going to meet on campus for one of those classes, they would send you an alert that said, hey, the campus is closed. And then you would go back and go into your Ivy Learn course or get an email from your instructor with further directions. So you just want to make sure that that's updated. Over here on the left, we have several things here. Student, and I'll come back to that for a second. Here's your Gmail. Hopefully you've been in here getting your emails about financial aid and registration and all of that. There is a G drive available, so you can store documents there that you no longer have to carry a flash drive around. You can just store them in the Google Drive, and every time you log into My Ivy, there they are for you. Here's also a link for the library. So if you're doing any research, have any questions for a librarian, you can go ahead and click on that link. And you will find that several of these links you'll find throughout Ivy Learn. You can even get to them through My Ivy. So on student, we have several things here. Student dashboard. So here's all of your information about going to school that's not course related. We can see billing and financial aid, advising, here's financial aid, the bursar's office, your completion tracker, your grades from the registrar, the bookstore, you know, how to make an appointment with your advisor, for disability, if you have any accommodations that need to be made, you could do it through here. Sandra will talk about this, but this is where one of the many places you can find this. Ivy Assist, if you're needing any help for anything outside of the classroom. A lot of things here for you. The other thing is in student resources. We have more resources here. And again, some of these are going to repeat themselves, so you can find them different places. But the one I like to point out here is because you are a student at Ivy Tech, you can get Office 365 for free while you're a student. And down here, we have software. So this is in your other resources. And if you're not sure about this, you can always email me, join my Zoom room. I'll show you where all my information is in just a minute. And here's how to get the Office 365. Okay, so you can read through that and get that information. So anything related to Ivy Tech that is not classroom specific, you're going to find on My Ivy. I'm going to go back home. Now, Ivy Learn has to do everything that's in the classroom. So let's go ahead and click on Ivy Learn. When I click on Ivy Learn, I'm on my dashboard, and you can see here my left navigation pane over here. The dashboard is lit up. When I click on the dashboard, here are our announcements. Now, the very first one, educational technologies, that's me. Yay. So I am here. My well, this is the more generic email, but if you send that to, have a question, send it to that email, I will get it. My phone number on the campus, which I will get. Here's my Zoom room, which is opened every day, 9 to 4. 9 to 4. Diana is open until 6. Okay. Here's more information about library services and where you can, I don't have a link for the library services. Oh, yep, I do. Library link down here, another link to the library. Tutoring, we do offer tutoring within our South Bend campus. So they have a Zoom link there that you can join, or you can email them to set up tutoring for whatever class you're taking. Over here on our left is our global navigation. And here's another announcement. So our announcements. Underneath our announcements are our courses. Before I get to the courses, first thing here, account. Here I have my name. I can log out here. This is where you can turn on your notifications, turn off and off your notifications for Ivy Learn. Do you want to know every time somebody adds to a discussion board? Do you want to know when an instructor has added a new assignment? Do you want to know when an announcement is made? So in the notifications, you can go ahead and set up those notifications to your specifications. Profile, if you would like to add a little bit of information about yourself, maybe a picture. I've got my avatar there. You can do it there. Some of your classes you might work with e-portfolios that'll be in here. And again, we have Ivy Advising. We have, oh, that was further down, okay. The global announcements is also here. So if for some reason over here, I wanted to close my announcement here, and then I'm like, oops, wait, I wanted to see what that announcement is, I can come back to the global notification and I can look to see any recent notifications, announcements, or any current announcements. Okay, so in your account, the dashboard we already looked at, we'll go back to that. Courses is going to list all of your courses. And as you're with Ivy Tech for a couple semesters, you're going to have more courses. So it'll open up and you'll see all of your courses here. Calendar is nice. When your instructor adds a due date to any assignment, it will come up on the calendar. And let me go back several months. So when I was teaching, I'll go back one, oh, okay, maybe not. But you can see where my assignments were due here, and each assignment, once you complete it, it'll be crossed out. And each class will have a different color. Okay. These are all for just one class. But as it goes through, you could see what the upcoming assignments are. Okay, so that's one place to check your assignments. You can also add, if you wanted to add your own appointments or schedules, or maybe you want to meet with a group and you want to put it on the calendar, you can do that here also to keep track of it. Our inbox is another email. So you'll hear about inbox and conversations. And that is the email for Ivy Learn itself. You can email your instructor from here. You could email any of the students. If I go into my current class that I'm teaching and I want to say I want to go email the students, it'll have all of their names here and I can just pick which student I would like to email. Or you can email the student, the instructor from here. Some of this instructors will only check this email on the weekends. They do not check their regular Ivy Tech email on the weekends because technically they're not in the office. But because Ivy Tech has a 36-hour responding time, they will check their inbox in Ivy Learn. So it is better to email your instructors through the inbox conversations in Ivy Learn, especially on the weekend if you want them to get a hold of you before Monday. We also have resources here. And as I said, many things that were on Ivy Learn are here again. You can go back to Ivy Learn. We have Ivy Cares, Ivy Assist, Ivy Life, Ivy Learn Student Resource Center. So this is more about what I'm going to also be talking about today, but if you want to reference that, you can reference it to refresh what I'm saying or to reinforce what I'm saying. Testing services, some of you may have to have a proctored test. So this is going to give you information about that and how to schedule an appointment to have the test proctored. Another link to the library, another link to submit a help desk ticket. Okay, those are all the student ones. So lots of information out here for you. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard. So again, our announcements, we scrolled past the announcements, and if this gets to be too much, like I said, you just don't want the announcements here anymore, you can always close them, go back to account, go all the way down to the announcements, and you can see them there. And then we have our dashboard. So the dashboard here is our series of cards. Each card here will be your class that you are taking. So I'm teaching Math 136. This is one that I facilitate for new instructors. And down here is a new student orientation course. So we're going to click on that one and go into the course, and then I'm going to put it into student view so you see exactly how it will be. This is how it will look when you come in here. Okay. So most of the classes will set up on home. They'll have recent announcements at the top. They'll tell you what the course is, the name of the course, the number of the course, things like that. They'll have a link for the syllabus. Some of them may already have modules down here, 1 through 8 or 1 through 16. So anytime you're going into a class, especially the first time, you always want to make sure that you read all of the announcements. Okay, this one just has the first two, but your instructor will put important information here that you need for class. So always check your announcements. The syllabus is the next thing that has a lot of information. So you want to make sure to read the syllabus. And some instructors even have a syllabus quiz. During the first week of class, it is important that students participate in some activity in Ivy Learn. And a lot of times that'll be a syllabus quiz that you take just to make sure that you have participation and that you've read this. If you do not participate before the drop date, you will be dropped out of class. Then you have to go back to the registrar and go all through that. So you want to make sure that first week, the first 2 or 3 days, that you complete some assignment, whether it's a discussion board or a syllabus quiz, something along those lines. On the syllabus, it will have your instructor's name, their supervisor for technical help, IT help, for online help, disabilities help, and I'm the online help. You'll be talking to the disabilities help, have information about the course, due dates, all of that sort of thing. There is an attendance policy. They will have the date there, so you know that you have to have something turned in before that date. So a lot of information here. There's another one, last day to withdraw, will also be here. And then at the very end, there will also be due dates down here. So again, this is where the calendar comes from of the course summary. So all the due dates will be here of when they're due. The modules, if we click on modules, this one just has one module, but most of your other classes will have 8 or 16 depending on the structure of the course. And you'll go through this and this will have all the information. So here, anything that's like a piece of paper, it's a page, it just has information. So here's information. This one has some videos on it. And I'm not going to read this, but you can read it all. You navigate to next. Here's more information. It's all good information. And I know I have about 10 minutes, so I want to make sure that we get through it. So more about the calendar. And we were going to come up to some assignments. Here's how to submit assignment. So this how to submit assignment is when you're submitting some kind of document, whether it be a Word document, it might be a PowerPoint, it might be an Excel spreadsheet, it could be a video, any possibility. There's lots of possibilities. So it will have the assignment. What is that assignment? And it'll explain what you need to do. It may have a rubric attached to it that you can look to see exactly how you're graded. And when you get this assignment done, you will hit submit assignment. When you submit assignment, it'll ask you for an upload. So just like you attach a file in an email, you attach a file here. Same process. Depending on the assignment, you might be able to just type it here and then submit it. It might be a website that you're going to share for that assignment. It might be a recording that you have made, a video or audio recording that you have made. It may be something in the Google Drive. And I can't do that, but if you save it to your Google Drive with your Ivy Tech email, the Google Drive off of my Ivy, my Ivy, then you can upload it right here, okay? Once you have uploaded the file, submit assignment, it goes into the grade book, the instructor will be able to grade it, and you will see the grade then. Okay? So that's one type of an assignment that you will have. The next one is a discussion. So here's more information about discussions, and I'm not going to read all that, but a discussion in an online class is a way, and with a virtual is a way to get discussion going without being in the same room. So it's not going to be back and forth in real time, but over a period of weeks, a period of a week. And, you know, that'll enable you to do a little bit of research, maybe get your act together, so to say, you know, get all your thoughts together of what you would really like to talk about. This discussion, and most classes will have an introductory and discussion board where you introduce yourself, what your name is, what you're studying, things like that. I know the last time I asked everybody to post a picture, so that was kind of nice. When you are answering a discussion board, you're going to hit this big reply. It'll bring up a text box, and you're going to type up your main response. If it's something that's going to take a couple paragraphs, you can always type it in a Word document and then copy and paste over to the dialog box here. Once you have everything ready, you'll hit post reply. I'm going to cancel. And then we notice that after we reply, that we see what other students have written, and we have the little reply. So when I see this little reply, here I have Nicholas, who talked about his degree is automotive technology. I can reply to Nicholas by hitting the smaller reply right here. Okay. And then posting when you're done. So that's another type of assignment that we may have here is a discussion. The next type, you may take a quiz, test, or exam through Ivy Learn. Here, when you want to take this test, you will be ready. You'll have the directions here. You'll take the quiz. Mine's again because I've looked at it several times. You might have multiple choice or multiple answer questions here. Here's a multiple choice, true, false. You may have fill in the blank. One thing about fill in the blank is your answer has to be exactly what the instructor put in as the answer, or it may be wrong. So usually when instructors use the fill in the blank, they'll go back and re-look at the answers to see if they can be counted correct or not. I know some of the anatomy classes, everything has to be spelled correctly. So if it's not spelled correctly, it's wrong. And then they also have short answers, essay questions or short answer questions. The computer will not grade these, so the instructor will have to grade those. And then once you get done, you submit your quiz and you'll be done with that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't care if I lose that. So over here, some of them will have different things. Over on the left or in the assignments, you may find that you're using what we call third-party publishers, that you're using another application that's not built into Ivy Learn, but is associated and paired with Ivy Learn, and you go out and you will do the assignment through Cengage or Pearson or another publisher, and they will have that here on the left for you to go through that also. Okay. There is a search, so if you're looking for something within the class and you can't find it, like if you wanted due dates or if we wanted drop dates, you could search for that. The rest of them, the other one here, Zoom, most of you or many of you will be taking virtual classes. The instructions will be going through Zoom. So when you click on Zoom, the meetings will be listed right here. Okay, so when the meeting is listed for the day that it's going to happen, and then over here, we'll have the join. So you'll just join that meeting and be able to participate that way. If the instructor does record the class, not all instructors do, but some do, they will let you know. But if they do record their class, then it will come over here in the cloud recording and you will be able to see them from there, okay? It will take a little while before the cloud recording appears. There's some processing that goes on in the background and take a little bit of time, but it will be there after the meeting, after your classroom meeting. So that's Zoom. The underneath there is tutor.com. This is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you feel like you're better at getting things done at 2 in the morning, I can tell you none of the tutors through Ivy Tech are available at that time. So you're not going to be able to use them then. But tutor.com does have tutors in a lot of ranges of subjects you can use, and you get several hours a semester for free. If you would like to utilize them, and please do, you do need to go through this link in Ivy Learn. If you just go to tutor.com yourself, they're going to want you to pay for it. Ivy Tech has already picked up the tab for you to have so many hours free. So just make sure you come through the tutor.com. And then we do have a LinkedIn Learning. I do believe some of the instructors are using LinkedIn Learning also. So look at that, 1 minute to spare. I think I've gotten everything. Let me stop that. So, like, where's my keyboard? So any questions? Okay.
If you aren't sure or can't find the mute fast enough and we pass on, please type your questions in the chat. We will loop back around to any questions that you might have. It's one that we know there's a lot of information that we're covering. Lisa just went over a lot of technology information. And Catherine Waltz-Friel, Dean Waltz-Friel, is going to also on some success strategies in the classroom. So feel free to use the chat. Also, I'm only manning the PowerPoint for the next part of the presentation. You should all have my email. Send it. If you can't find the chat, send me an email and I can definitely make sure I'm checking that as I go throughout the evening. So if there aren't any questions.
And if later you're like, oh, Lisa showed me that and oh, I just can't remember where it is, send me an email, get on the dashboard, click my Zoom room, whatever it is, and I will be more than happy to help you at any time because my job is to be interrupted by people asking me questions. That is in my job description.
Likewise, you should all have my email, and if you send it to me and it is something that is where Lisa is the expert, Lisa and I talk quite often after orientations with students that have questions. So feel free to just hit reply to my email and I will send you on to whoever the expert is that can answer that question. So with that said, thank you very much, Lisa. So Dean Waltz-Friel is our next presenter, and I'm going to be behind the scenes working through the PowerPoint presentation and watching any questions that you might have. So I am going to pass this over to Dean Waltz-Friel, and she's going to cover student success strategies in the classroom.
Good evening. I would like to add my welcome to everyone else's. The other thing I would like you to do is, you've been sitting about an hour now, so I want you to take a deep breath, stretch your arms. If you feel like you need to actually move, get up, and even if you just move, walk around your chair. Your brain works better when it's getting a lot of oxygen. And it seems like any time that we sit for long periods of time, oftentimes you find yourself rubbing your forehead like you're trying to massage your brain into working. And sometimes that doesn't work really well, but I do find that if I have been not moving for a long period of time, it is literally harder for me to think. And so, when you find yourself drifting away or having trouble concentrating, stretch, take a deep breath, stand up, move around, because we know you need oxygen for your brain to work. So that's my little first piece of advice there. So if you could go on to the next slide, Stephanie. One of the things that I want all of you to think about is, what do you want to achieve at Ivy Tech? Ivy Tech is a comprehensive community college, and what that means is that we can literally be the springboard to anything that you want to do in your career. If you're looking for a short-term certificate, how fast can I get in, get out, have a skill that's valued in the workplace and get a good job, we are the place for you. If you're someone who says, my long-range career plan is to earn a bachelor's or a master's or a doctoral degree, we are a jumping off point for you. And if your plan is, I'm not sure what my plan is, we are a place where you can come, get some guidance around different careers and career opportunities, and then based on that, maybe make some decisions and move forward. Dr. Kent is here, and sometimes she's not, but now she's going to know that I out her at every single new student orientation. She is a graduate of Ivy Tech. And so when I say to you, literally, we can be a jumping off point to however much education you want, even if you don't know you want it yet. I mean that with all sincerity. We can be a jumping off point to a multitude of career paths. So next slide, please. So my next question to you is, are you the first one in your family to go to college? Or are you someone whose parents went to college? Or maybe you're someone whose grandparents went to college. And in some ways that matters, and in some ways it doesn't, because your college experience, no matter how far along you are in sort of a generational perspective, is going to be different from those who came before you. What's really important, though, for all of you to understand is that by coming to Ivy Tech, you are going to continue to establish a family legacy, not only for your own children, but for your grandchildren someday, maybe in a far, far distant future. And so your grandchildren may be here someday in some sort of setting like this, and someone asks if their grandparents went to college, and your grandkids are going to say, yeah, my grandparents went to college. So keep that in mind, that this journey you're embarking on impacts not just you and not just your current family, but your family for into generations. Ivy Tech is organized by schools. The degree that you are pursuing or the certificate is going to be under the umbrella of a specific school. So what school you're going to be primarily associated with is going to be contingent on what degree you are pursuing. All associate degrees and many technical certificates also have a general education requirement. General education is taught out of the School of Arts, Sciences, and Education. And as Stephanie said, that is the school that I oversee. So all of you are going to have the opportunity to take some general education courses, and we look forward to seeing you in our classes as well. Next slide, please. So we want you to know a little bit about who is teaching your courses, who are your faculty, and why is it important that you get to know them. Ivy Tech faculty fall into two broad categories. We have a large group of adjunct faculty, also known as part-time faculty. Many of those individuals are people who during the day work full-time jobs in what they come teach you in the evening, or sometimes they might be retired from some of those professions. But part-time faculty, adjunct faculty bring a, to the table, they bring a sort of helping you to see the relevance of why we're teaching you what we're teaching you. They can help you to see the direct connection between what you might be doing in a classroom right now and what you may be asked to do on the job. Your full-time faculty are individuals whose full-time job is to be a faculty member at Ivy Tech. Most of the time when you are sitting in a classroom, you're not going to know whether the faculty you have are part-time or full-time, and that's okay. Full-time faculty, though, will have office hours posted on their syllabus, and the office hours are times that full-time faculty have set aside to work with students. All of them should have at least 8 office hours a week. Many of them schedule more than that. Most of them will have some posted hours, and then they will also have something that says by appointment. If you look at their posted hours and you say, well, none of those hours work for me, I strongly encourage you to reach out to them and to try to settle an appointment. They try to schedule their office hours around times that they think you will need them, and also around their own teaching times. So you may have to do a little bit of back and forth with them to figure out a time that works, well for both you and them. But we want you to use those full-time faculty office hours as much as possible. I've heard 2 words bandied about a little bit tonight. I've heard it said, if you have a problem, reach out. And I've heard it said, when you have a problem, reach out. I would like to emphasize the when. I don't know anyone who has earned any kind of degree who at some point in their time as a student has not met a stumbling block in terms of the difficulty of a course or understanding a concept or not knowing how to apply something. So everybody hits a stumbling block at some point, and that's what those full-time faculty office hours are there for. Program chairs are responsible for the direct oversight of a program. They are usually the individuals who are listed on those syllabi as the direct supervisor. Hopefully you won't have a need to reach out to a supervisor, but if you do, don't hesitate. Ivy Tech teaches most of its classes in an 8-week semester. The advantage to that is that you're taking probably only 1 to 2 classes at a time, and you have the opportunity to really focus and dig in deep on the classes that you're taking. The challenge with that sometimes is it's only 8 weeks long, and sometimes students will look at it and think, well, I'm a little confused, but I'm sure next week it'll make more sense. And next week it doesn't, and you assume that you're the only one in the class having trouble, which I will tell you that is very, very seldom ever true, that there's only one student having problems. Most faculty even know what concepts students are most likely to have problems with, and they usually try to provide you with some extra resources. But if you're not getting it, don't wait, because if you decide to start, getting some extra assistance in week 5 or week 6, doesn't mean we can't help you. Doesn't mean you won't do better than you would have done had you gotten no assistance at all. But much of what is taught at any college builds upon itself. So what you learn in the first week is sort of a foundation for what you're going to learn in the second week, which becomes a foundation for what you're going to learn in the third week, and so on. So if you have to circle back to week 2 and week 6, again, it's not that you can't get it, but you would be further along and you'd have a better understanding, and it would be a more rewarding and beneficial educational experience for you if in week 2, when you started to have some challenges, you reached out to either the full-time faculty or the program chair and said, I need some assistance here. I need an assist. I need to know what's going on because I'm just not getting it. Your school deans are the individuals. We are responsible for the overall leadership for the individual schools that we're responsible for. You will sometimes see our names listed as supervisors if the class you're taking is being taught by a program chair. Same holds true if you are feeling challenged with the content or with the course for some reason or another. Reach out to us. Sometimes it's a really simple fix. You may just not know for sure where to find something. Sometimes it may be a bigger fix on our part. But what I always tell students, a lot of times students seek me out the last week of the term. And and they will even say, I know you can't do anything for me, but I want to make it better for the next person. And I appreciate that. And I want to make it better for the next person too, but I want to have an opportunity to make it better for you also. So please reach out to us. All of our names are there, and all of the information here is also, this PowerPoint is in that sample Ivy Learn class that Lisa was walking you through, so you can get in and find us that way. And then, Dr. Kent already introduced herself. I already told you she's an Ivy Tech graduate, but she is like she's responsible for everything that happens academically on our campus, both within the classroom and outside of the classroom, with libraries and tutoring services and testing, and all those other kinds of things as well. And so if you ever see her name listed as the supervisor, that's kind of an alert if you've forgotten that you're taking a class that a dean happens to be teaching this particular semester. So we all have a role to play, but collectively our role is to try to give you the best education we possibly can, and to make sure that we give you the wraparound support academically that you need to be successful in your course. And then a little bit later tonight, they're going to talk a little bit more about wraparound services for outside of the classroom. So we're trying to make sure we have you covered there. Next slide, please. So here are some of the academic resources. Many of these have already been mentioned. A couple that haven't been mentioned, I'd like to highlight a little bit. Administrative assistants, actually now they're more like office coordinators, but they are the people who provide support for the faculty, the chairs, and the deans within an individual school. Their names are also listed on all of our classes, where there's a little paragraph. If you click on the CRN, the 5-digit course number for a course, if you have more information, their name and contact information is there. If they can't answer your question, they are going to know who to connect you with so that you can get your question answered. Your academic advisor is the person who has helped you to figure out what your plan is going to be, both for this semester and beyond this semester. Some of those others we've already been talked about a little bit. Knowledge assessment, some of you may be working through knowledge assessment right now. It's a review tool that Ivy Tech has to help students prepare for their English and mathematics courses. It's also a good tool, even if you're already in your class, that you can go back and you can sign up for knowledge assessment and you can use it as a review tool rather than just as a placement tool. Lisa talked a lot about tutor.com. It's not just that it's 24/7, but it's 365 days a year. So if you're the kind of student that I was, a lot of students always looked forward to breaks because it gave them an opportunity to quit working on school for a while. For me, breaks were always kind of a catch-up time as a student. So if Thanksgiving break is coming up and I'm thinking that's 4 days when I can really dig in and spend a little bit of time, getting this paper started or whatever. But the challenge also is that, when the building is closed for holidays, like Thanksgiving and the Friday after Thanksgiving or New Year's Day, if you're working on a project, you may not be able, you may get to a point where you need just a little bit of help and you can keep on going, but you don't necessarily have someone you feel like you can reach out to. So tutor.com is a great resource for that. The other thing I want to strongly encourage all of you to do is in every single class you have, find someone that you are comfortable with and see if you can become kind of study partners, study buddies, because a lot of times figuring something out, it's just a matter of talking it through with someone else. I think this. What do you think? Why is it that way? And so if you have a study partner, then you have someone that you can reach out to and get that sort of extra talking through, at those off times, as well as tutor.com. We do have a couple of partnerships with IUSB. If you're interested in a transfer degree, you will be taking a program that might fall under my school, but we also have transfer degrees in business and engineering and several other programs as well. I really want to encourage you, if you are thinking, well, I'll just take a few of my classes at Ivy Tech and then I'll transfer. And we do have a lot of students who do that, but we have a lot of degrees that transfer as a whole degree. So you're guaranteed when you start at your four-year institution that they're going to take all 60 credits and you're only going to have 60 more credits to earn your bachelor's degree, where if you only take 2 or 3 classes at Ivy Tech, they'll probably take those 2 or 3 classes as long as they're on the transfer crosswalk, but you're still going to have a lot of coursework left to do. And there are a lot of scholarships that our four-year partners make available, not to Ivy Tech students necessarily, but to Ivy Tech graduates. Because a lot of our research shows that students who earn their associate's degrees are more likely to persist and earn their bachelor's degrees. So, and I'm not going to tell you they won't have any scholarship opportunities for you if you don't earn your degree first, but there are more available if you earn your degree first. And then also some of our transfer partners, like Trine, do a tuition discount for those students who've actually earned their associate degree. So for every credit hour that you take at Trine, you get so much of a tuition discount that you would not get if you had not finished the associate degree first. The last little blurb down there where it says, ask South Bend-Elkhart at ivytech.edu. You know, we've reiterated and we are aware that we're throwing a lot of information at you all at once. But if you don't remember anything else tonight, try to remember that email address, because there are multiple people who monitor that email address every single day. And if you can't remember who you're supposed to ask what question, it's kind of like what I said before about the administrative assistants. Numerous people monitor that. So if you send them a question and I think there's about 8 or 9 people monitoring that. If those 8 or 9 people can't answer your question, they know who to forward your question to, so that you can get it answered. So that Ask South Bend-Elkhart at ivytech.edu is an important little tool for you to have, an important resource for your toolbox. So could you go on to the next slide? These next 2 slides I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because Lisa already talked about them. I do want to talk about the screenshot though for this one. This is my Ivy screenshot, which, as Lisa said, is everything to do with Ivy Tech that is not individual course specific. This is where you would go though to get like your unofficial transcript, to see final course grades at the end of a semester. But I also want you to look at that, $6 million in scholarships at the top. The South Bend-Elkhart campus has been really blessed. We have some wonderful supporters and benefactors who have, given a lot of money to the college specifically for student scholarships. And we are one of the campuses that gives more money in scholarship than any other campus in the Ivy Tech system. So this is where you go, where you also want to apply for Ivy Tech scholarships to help support you as you are working your way through your education and your degree for Ivy Tech. It is also where one of the other things that Lisa did not mention, but when you're under student, if you look over here where it says degree tracker, that will, when you click on that, when you're logged in under your student tab, it's usually along the far right-hand side. When you click on that, that shows you exactly how much progress you have made towards your degree. It's color-coded, what courses you have planned. Anything you've completed is green. Anything you have planned is blue. I think anything you're enrolled in is purple, and things that you have not planned, have not completed, is in red. So it gives you a real clear visual picture as well of what you have left to do. Next slide, please. Ivy Learn, again, Lisa spent a lot of time on this, and so I'm not going to go into it very much at all, just to say, please go into the course for new student orientation that you have been put into. Take a look, see what it looks like. If you get into your classes and you're having trouble finding something, whether it's the Zoom room link or you know, where the assignments are posted, or even how to get into your courses, please reach out to your faculty. Please reach out to Lisa Tolliver and Diana Pittman. They are available. They will walk you through things. They'll share screens with you. They'll tell you, walk you through how to share your screen with them, so they can literally see what you're seeing. And so just spend some time with it. Also, and Lisa, if you said this, I apologize. I got distracted a couple of minutes, which meant I needed to take a deep breath and take a stretch. But your classes become available in Ivy Learn about 24 to 48 hours before your course actually begins. So if you have a class that starts on Monday, October 26th, you are probably going to see your classes maybe Friday, but probably on Saturday. If you have a class that doesn't start until Thursday, October 29th, you're not going to see that class until about Tuesday, October 27th. I'm not asking you to remember the dates. I just know that I've gotten a few panicked emails and phone calls from students saying, in my Ivy it says I'm registered for this, but I can't see it on my Ivy Learn. And I'm trying to look at all my courses and see how much work I have, and I can't see it. Why can't I see it in Ivy Learn? So just be aware that the classes become visible to you as students about 24 to 48 hours before the class actually begins, and they don't all become active at the same moment in time. So if you have a Thursday only class or a Friday only class, that's going to show up for you a little bit later in the week. Okay. Someone said they don't have an invite for the course. Lisa and Stephanie can probably talk with you about that. It should come through your Ivy Tech email, and it will ask you to, if you want to participate in the course, and you'll click the accept. Okay, so Stephanie, could you go on to the next slide, please? So a couple of things to help you be a more effective student, some basic study strategies, some things to be aware of. Most of us know instinctively whether we're morning people or evening people. And so if you are able, I strongly encourage you to take classes in what is your best time of the day. If you are not able to take classes in your best time of the day, I would encourage you to do as much studying as you can during that best time of the day. We usually ask you to also think about what is your best course delivery method. We offer courses in primarily, you know, in different times when we're not under a pandemic, when it's safe to do more full face-to-face classes again, we will do so. Right now, we're using a lot of virtual streaming, live streaming courses. The live streaming courses look pretty much just like this new student orientation does, where you're going to be participating, you're going to be able to see a screen, you're going to be able to put questions in a chat box, you know, raise your hand, ask questions. that kind of thing. We also offer full online courses that are considered asynchronous. Online courses at Ivy Tech are not self-paced, and sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about that. Online courses are flexible, but they have set deadlines. So if one of you is a morning person, and so you get up every morning at 5 and do your coursework, and I tend to be a late morning person, and so I try to always do my coursework around 11:30 to 2:30, you know, in the afternoon most days, and somebody else likes to do it at night, that's okay. We can all do the coursework throughout the week when it works best for us, as long as all of us meet the Saturday night at 11:59 p.m. deadline. So it's not totally self-paced, and that's really important to understand. So flexible, but not self-paced. And then we are also rolling out a few courses in a new to Ivy Tech delivery method that we're calling Learn Anywhere. And the idea behind Learn Anywhere, and you'll have to, you know, look at your course to see if it's a Learn Anywhere course, is that we're trying to put in your hands how you think you might learn best at any given point in time. So the Learn Anywhere courses do give you the option of attending a class face-to-face, of attending a class through live streaming, of watching the recorded course later. As Lisa said, not all faculty in live streaming always record their classes, but if it's a Learn Anywhere class, they're required to record the class. It's part of the method, the delivery method. And or if you need to just look at it online, as long as you're keeping up with all the assignments. So the Learn Anywhere, we don't have a huge number of courses yet. Not every course is going to work in Learn Anywhere. Some of you are going to take classes where there is a lecture component and a lab component. And that lab component has to be hands-on. So not every single class is ever going to be delivered in that methodology, but there are some classes that are in that Learn Anywhere modality. The other thing we want to encourage you to do, and I recognize, and I think all of us probably recognize, when we're doing so many things from our home these days, it's really challenging to try to balance the work that you have to do, jobs that you have some recreational time, take a mental break, meeting all your home obligations. It's incredibly difficult, but you kind of have to do it. And for some of you, that may mean you can't take as many classes maybe as you thought you'd like to. Maybe you feel like, I'd like to take more classes at a time because I'd like to get done faster. But then when you take more classes, you feel really overwhelmed and you don't feel like you get to spend enough time with your family. So each one of you is going to have to kind of try to determine what is it that is a reasonable balance for me. How many of you, or does anybody, and you can put this in the chat, anybody know how many hours a week you should set aside to study for each hour that you put in a class, in a college class? Any ideas? Two. Yay, Joe. Joe is exactly right. All right. Hey, Joe. So the idea, and a no idea, and a 4. Well, and I do want to say 2 is a minimum. Okay. So when I want you to think, even if it's, high school was a long time ago, you all remember high school to some degree. And so if you think about it, when you are in high school, you're literally in school about 36 hours a week. And so there's kind of a rhythm to high school where a high school teacher is presenting some information, letting you work on something for a little while, presenting some information, you go on to a next class. And so there's this ebb and flow back and forth between presenting and starting assignments and making sure you have the gist of them and then going back. College is not like that for the most part. For the most part, there's an expectation, first of all, that you're coming to class having read all the assigned material before you get there. Then there is presentation of material. There is going over the material. There is enhancing the material with examples that are not actually, in the reading that you did before class. And then there's more things to do. A lot of people have kind of the mindset of, well, there's no written homework, so there's nothing that I'm supposed to be doing. But there is this idea of keeping up with the work, because in some classes, your grade might be based on a midterm, a final, and a project, or just a project. So you need to be studying for that midterm and that final exam and that project on an ongoing basis. And so if you're doing that, you're more likely to be prepared when the time comes. I had a question pop up in the chat about spring classes. Spring classes are going to be heavily live streaming in the format that we're talking about now, just like the second 8 week of fall is. There will be some Learn Anywhere. In certain classes, there will be some online options. In certain classes, I mentioned before that you might have some classes that require you to come to campus. So if you have a class that is, in the School of Advanced Manufacturing, Engineering, and Applied Science, you may be required to come to campus. So you may get your lecture through live streaming, but then be required to come to campus on certain days and times so that you can get the hands-on component of the course. So how it's going to look for each of you individually is going to depend a lot on which specific classes that you are taking. The lecture classes and the lecture component of most classes is going to be primarily live streaming if you're not taking it online. So hopefully that helps you to see that a little bit. Okay, next slide, please. I only have a couple more here. So find a study space, create a study space if possible. I know that we are now, we're now 7 months into the COVID-19 world, where a lot of people have had to realign, places in their homes for their children or themselves to work and to study. So you probably already have this part done. But if not, if you can find a place in your home where you can study, that is ideal. If not, if you have to use something like a kitchen table or something like that, my advice always is try to sit at a different chair, different spot in the table than you do when you have your meals, just because it gives you, your brain knows I'm sitting in this chair, I'm eating. I'm sitting in this chair, I need to be studying. So, but establish a study space. Make sure you get your textbooks and your supplies as soon as you possibly can. Some of you may be taking classes where the textbook is an e-textbook that's already preloaded into the class. So, but if you need to purchase a textbook, please do that as soon as possible. For the most part, depending on the field you're going into, you may or may not need to purchase a computer. But if you do need to purchase a computer for your program, please make sure you check with your faculty or the program chair to see what kinds of specifications might be required. If you're going to pursue a degree in elementary education, yay, that's my school, then you need a computer that can do basic things like Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and things like that. If you're going to do a degree that requires some high functioning things like CAD, you're going to need something. There was a question in the chat, do I need to purchase a new computer? No, if you have a computer, you do not need to purchase one. It's just we find that sometimes students have, prior to COVID-19, a lot of students when they started college asked us a lot of questions about purchasing computers. I think because so many people have been working from home, they already have made a purchase. And for the most part, like I said, unless you're going into a degree that requires some real higher powered processing and memory, whatever you've already purchased is probably going to be sufficient for you. Get a calendar, mark off class times and due dates. Almost all of us have calendars on our phones now. I also, as a student, I really like having like a big paper calendar so that I can write out, everything in all of my classes. So that gives me sort of a heads up early in the semester that I have 3 midterms on the same day. Oh my gosh. So I really need to buckle down and make sure I'm ready and I'm prepared for that. And then I can also, Ivy Learn, if I forget to put in there that I'm supposed to do something, in a pre-COVID world, I'd say something like, I was, going to have a family reunion or something, so that I keep track of what's going on in my life and how that all intersects. If you feel you have any learning needs, we strongly encourage you to reach out to Disability Services. They can assist you in doing some problem solving for disability support services. And they can, help kind of guide you along the path, especially if you are an individual who had any sort of individualized educational plan as a high school student. Those plans do not carry with you. And so it's really important that if you might need a course accommodation, that you reach out to Sandra Senatori Roberts, and I saw where she put her information in the chat box. Next slide, please. I think I'm over on time. So, and I only have 2 more slides, so my apologies for that. If you are face-to-face, we want you to find your perfect seat. Make sure you can see and hear. That's not as big of an issue at Ivy Tech as it might be at a college or university where you're taking a course in an auditorium. Make a copy of your syllabus. It's in Ivy Learn. Show up on time for classes. It's so important that you be here when the classes are ready to go, and be prepared to study, mentally be ready to go. Even if you have something going on in your life that's really stressing you out, do the best you can to kind of compartmentalize that and try to set it aside so that you can focus in on what you're doing. We all know realistically that when we have a lot of big things going on in our lives, it's hard to compartmentalize and it's hard to forget those things completely. But if you can do your best to just set them aside, at least for a little bit. Some people who are big individualizations literally have this thing where they say, I'm going to take it and I'm going to set it aside over here while I'm in class. And then I'm going to, I'll pick it back up on my way out. So, be ready to go and let your friends and family know when you're not available. I saw a couple things pop up about textbooks. if you click on that 5-digit CRN, it should take you to an expanded link, an expanded explanation of the course. And part of that link should have a view textbook. If it doesn't list a book, there may not be one that you have to buy. And if it does tell you what books you need, I would go ahead and get those books. If you're able to go ahead and get the books, go ahead and get the books, because then you have them. And even if you can't see your class in Ivy Learn yet, you can at least start reviewing some of the material. And my last slide, please, Stephanie. So I want to just reiterate again a couple things. It's not if, it's when. So reach out from the very beginning to make sure that you get the information that you need. Use that Ask South Bend-Elkhart at ivytech.edu. There's going to be some conversation, as I said, after I wrap up here about some of our wraparound services, including Ivy Cares. And then always, keep track of your progress. Understand, read how you're going to be graded. Make sure that you understand how you're going to be graded, what the grading scale is. My background is teaching freshman composition, and sometimes toward the end of a semester, the best way to remedy that is to make sure you get that last paper done, because it's worth more points than anything else. And I would have students who were trying to get me like 20 journals, because they thought, well, there's 20 of them, so there's more and that'll count more. But overall, those journals and those in-class writings counted about 5% of the total grade, where that final paper counted more like 25% of the final grade. So, use your time wisely and make sure that you're putting your time and your energy where it will do you the absolute most good. I see a couple of people say that they've missed a couple of things, and that's going to happen. And what I would say to you, if your attention gets diverted, just jump back in as soon as you can. This is being recorded, so you can also go back and pick up some things that Tyler, you said some things have been purchased through financial aid, but I'm not 100% what else I might need to purchase. Click on that link, see what it says. It should have listed if there are some required supplies for your course, that should be listed there. And if not, even though you can't see Ivy Learn yet, you can see on your schedule who's teaching your courses, and on your student schedule there is a link to your faculty's email. So you can also reach out to them directly and just say, hey, I got this. Is there anything besides these books that I need? And they'll get back with you and they'll let you know what else you might need. So so let's see, a couple of things. The chats are going too fast for me here. Still in the process of getting very enrolled. Okay, let's see. If you're in the process of working through knowledge assessment, that is your assessment test. That might be a conversation we need to have offline, because it might be a little bit more detailed than I can really answer right here. Yes, for online courses, you are most certainly able to get help from the instructor. Whether or not online faculty have office hours or not, it's back to what we talked about before, in that some of the individuals teaching online courses are full-time and some are adjunct. But what I really want to emphasize is that if you are taking an online course in a subject area, and I should have said this before and I did not, it doesn't matter if you're in the class with the full-time faculty or the adjuncts. If you're in a math class with an adjunct faculty, you can reach out to the full-time math faculty for help. So if you're in an online class and it happens to be taught by an adjunct, you can still reach out to the full-time faculty in that area for help. And you can reach out for, for the Tutor Center and to tutor.com also always for some help. Record on your end. Now is e-learning, do I still need to buy a book? No, if it says e-learning material, then you don't need to buy a book. The e-learning material should be embedded in your Ivy Learn class. Okay. Any other questions?
I think what we can do is, as the questions come in, we have a few other staff members that I want to introduce to kind of talk to you a little bit about their role, but keep the questions coming. We'll be watching them and replying if we think it might just need a one-time reply, but if we want to touch on it, one of us will, once we wrap up at the end, we've got some time for a question and answer session that we can go on. But we'll go ahead and move forward, and then we'll keep watching the chat. Catherine, thank you very much.
You are welcome.
This sparks a lot of questions because both yours and Lisa's section covers kind of the most comfortable on first day of class topics. So I'm going to go ahead and take a minute just very quick to, we had expected some dual credit students this evening, and I didn't see the names that I was expecting on the participant list. Is there anyone currently on the call? If you aren't sure if you are a dual credit student, you probably are not, but what you would be if you would be a current high school student who's taking Ivy Tech classes. And if so, we are going to send you with one of our College Connection coaches to talk a little bit specific about taking Ivy Tech classes as a high school student. So I'm gonna double check the chat real quick. And I know I have John Joyner on the call. Okay, so it looks like I'm not seeing anything in the chat. No one is saying anything. If I move on and I've gone too fast and you are a dual credit student, I know John will probably stick around for a couple minutes just to make sure we haven't had anybody speak up that they are. With that said, we'll go ahead and move on, but if there are any, just let me know. So there are a few folks that I want to introduce that have joined us on the call. When we had to switch to the virtual Zoom new student orientation in the past, prior to COVID, for face-to-face sessions. So there was so much that we want to cover, but we also don't want to take and do a 4-hour, 3-hour Zoom session. So we condensed it as much as we could, but we wanted to make sure that you also got to get to know a little bit about career development, student life, disability support services, which we did touch on just a little bit, but Sandra, Senator Roberts is here, advising and financial aid. So they are all going to do a quick introduction of their area. It'll be brief, but know that we can go through a lot more after this session. We just want to be conscious of your time tonight. So we'll start with career development. And I did see that Erin was on the call. So Erin, I'm gonna pass the microphone over to you and we'll work our way through everyone.
Hello, everyone. So unfortunately, I cannot turn on my video. I've been having some really major bandwidth issues and I don't want to get kicked off the call. But this is a recent picture, so you still know what I look like. My name is Aaron Schneider and I am a career coach for our campus. I work primarily out of the Elkhart location. My coworker, Becky Matanik, worked primarily out of the South Bend location. However, in this virtual world, we're really both available to help you. We're able to talk to you about all the different areas of career development, including resumes, cover letters, interview preparedness and practice, any kind of general career questions or exploration. We're also going to be hosting a lot of really great events throughout this next 8 weeks, as well as going into spring semester. One of which you saw when Lisa was showing you Ivy Learn. In the announcements, there was a picture that said Career Camp on it. That is one of our events that's happening next week, Tuesday through Thursday, from 1 to 5 every day. We're hosting virtual career development sessions. So I'm going to post a few links in the chat, and that's going to be the email for myself, for Becky, our general office, a link to our Facebook page, as well as a link to register for that event if you're interested in learning more about what that career camp is going to be please feel free to reach out to us with any questions you have. One of our favorite part of the job is being able to support you all and hearing from you and answering your questions. So feel free to reach out to us whenever you've got a career-based question you want answered.
And I know Aaron and I work very closely together. A lot of my alumni reach out to me, and they're looking for some resources on post Ivy Tech time. So know that the career folks are your entire journey at Ivy Tech from start to finish, and then even beyond Ivy Tech. So thank you very much, Aaron. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right, next we are going to introduce Ivy Tech, Dexter Overall. He is our new student life director. So Dexter, I'll pass the microphone over to you for some introduction. And I know Kirsten was on the call earlier as one of our student leaders, but Dexter is our director of all non-academic involvement on campus.
All right.
Oh, there you are. I was like, I know I saw Dexter here.
If you can you, are you able to highlight, or if you want to see what these words say on my background, feel free to go ahead and spotlight my video, because I do want to keep in contact with you and keep in touch with you. But like Stephanie said, my name is Dexter Overall. I'm the Director of Student Life, Leadership, and Development. And again, like Stephanie said, that is all ways to get involved outside of the classroom. But I like to say that student life activities or experiences, they complement the classroom experience. So what are some examples of things that are student life? Student organizations. So currently we have about 27 student organizations. A lot of those student organizations are honor societies. A lot of them are also linked to certain majors and minors as well. And the great thing about a student organization, if you go on to Ivy Life, which you can find on My Ivy, so the logo looks like that. The logo looks like that one there. When you go into My Ivy, you can just sign in and you'll see the list of the 27 organizations we have on campus. They're, again, like I said, they're related to majors, they're related to special interests, honor societies as well. If you go through that list and you say, look, there's nothing here for me, guess what? You can create that. So if when you're not taking care of family or when you're not working in your free time, you like to play board games or esports or video games, or you like to volunteer, you can create a student organization for your interests. And then we can also help you find other students that will be interested in the same thing, and also advise it as well. One thing that is important to us in student life is we understand that outside of school, when you're not at Ivy Tech, when you're not in the books or on campus, you have work, you have family. Some of us may have children and be married or take care of parents or are the parents. We take all of that into account in all the events and endeavors that we do with student life. And so our goal is we don't only want to engage you, we also want to engage the folks that you spend a lot of your time with as well. So there is a lot of opportunities to bring your family to events, to experience certain things in the community and on campus as well. So be on the lookout for those. And again, student life, like it says on top, it's your school, it's your experience. And so I'm here as a director of student life to make sure that you get everything that you want out of your time here at Ivy Tech. So if you're looking for something that's going to help you pursue and find your passion and your purpose, something that's going to develop your leadership skills, experiences that are going to give you new skills and abilities that will complement the work that you're in now, or this is your opportunity, this is your place. So please, I'm on Instagram. So if you are a social media person, you can follow me on my Instagram here, which is the Student Life Guy SBE. Also, if you don't do it already, feel free to follow the school on the school's Instagram here to stay up to date on everything that's happening student life-wise and Ivy Tech-wise. And then also make sure if you have a moment, check out Ivy Life so you can see all the news, all the events and organizations that we have on campus. Also, student government is an excellent way to get in touch with current students. They handle everything that's related to the student experience. Also be on the lookout for more information that we'll have about another organization called CAB, which is who basically works closely with student life to make sure that we're giving students the co-curricular experience that they're looking for. So thank you for your time. You all have been great. And I look forward to seeing you involved in some of the cool things we have going on very soon.
Yeah, thanks, Dexter. And I just want to mirror what he's saying. So while we're in this COVID-driven world, we still have a lot available for students to get involved outside of the classroom. So keep that in mind. Thank you very much, Dexter. Appreciate you're here too. All right, next is Ivy Cares and Disability Services, or Disability Support Services. So Sandra Senator Roberts is our Director of Disability Support Services, but in addition, I saw her comment on one of the chats with Ivy Cares. So she kind of has a dual role with us. And Sandra, I'm going to have you go ahead and tell them a little bit about that.
Hi there. I went ahead and put my contact information in the chat. So email is the very best way to get in touch with me. Even if you just want to email to say, please call me, then leave your number and dates and times. And, you know, that would be great. But yeah, so sometimes people don't understand disability services in college. Look, it's a whole different environment than what we're mostly functioning in our daily lives. So, you know, if you've ever been diagnosed with or treated with any condition, you know, that might interfere with what you have to do at the college, come and talk to me. You know, I like to use as an example that you can have a really successful life as a grown-up with ADHD. But when you're back in school and you have to read 3 chapters and sit in the same seat for a couple of hours to get your work done, it really can become disabling. So just let's talk about it, okay? Anything that you've ever been diagnosed with or are treated for. But beyond that, Ivy Cares is our wraparound services team on campus, and anything that's non-academic, we don't want it to interfere. You know, if you need some help applying for housing, or you need some support with groceries, or just, you know, life gets really, really stressful, anything that's outside of the classroom, we don't want it to stop your success in the classroom. So please just send me an email about that, and I'll work with you, or someone on my team will work with you. We have great community and campus resources. So all I can really say is get in touch with me, and you know, and we'll talk, and we'll get through things together. So thank you, and welcome to everyone.
Thank you, Sandra. And we have 2 more folks that are going to speak tonight. One of them is Darren Doverspike, who's one of our academic advisors. I saw a couple questions that might have been related, and Darren, I saw you touch on that, but also it's looked as if there were a lot of financial aid questions, and they are next. So we'll start with Darren, and then we will work our way over to financial aid, and then we'll wrap up with any questions and such. So Darren, welcome.
Yes, hello everybody. And I, like she said, I will keep it quick because I know there's a lot of financial aid questions coming through. We will make sure we get to those and have everything going for you. But like she said, my name's Darren Doverspike. I'm one of the academic advisors here at Ivy Tech. I primarily am located at the South Bend location, and I work primarily with our health students within the very early parts of the alphabet. So we're kind of broken down, our caseloads are broken down by alphabet of last name. And so you could work with me, you could work with Michaela or Hannah. If you're in human services or culinary, you'd know Leanna pretty well. You might work with Taylor. Some of the business programs also will include Barbara. If you're not quite sure what you're going after, or if you know what you're going after and it's really just a general studies or an education degree, we've got Michael Griffin out there as well. And our director is Amanda Reason Overweight. So we've got a good crew of advisors out there to help you make out those plans and figure out what classes you need to do to move forward. We want to make sure, you know, Catherine Walsh-Friel talked about making sure we're staying on task and, you know, understanding there may be a situation we need to take a little bit less of a course load in a given term because of some other obligations that we have. You know, that's a good thing to be knowledgeable about, and we will help make sure that we're creating that plan to kind of move you forward through that registration process and hitting all your timelines, hitting all your deadlines, and getting registered in a time frame to move you positively along in your career paths. So we're here to talk certificates, associate's degrees, transfer, whatever it is that we can do to kind of help you out. So if you don't know where your advisor is, in your My Ivy account, there's a link under your student tab that says advising, and then there's a link right there that says schedule an appointment with your advisor. So go ahead and schedule those appointments right now. With us being kind of all over the place, you know, some of us are on campus, some of us are not on campus. We'll go back and forth between campus. So it's really hard to reach us by phone. It's really hard to reach us in person. Email is always a great starting point. Send us an email and be patient, because everyone's emailing now, because that's the only form of contact. So it takes us a little bit longer to get back to some of those as well. So hope everyone's having a great evening, and I will just wait to see if there's some further questions later on down the road.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darren. And we leave financial aid to the last because that's usually where a lot of the questions wrap up at the end. So I'd like to introduce Wendy Railing, who's our Director of Financial Aid, and she's going to talk a little bit about financial aid, but then like Darren had mentioned, we are going to stick around and answer any questions that folks may have. So with that said, welcome, Wendy.
Hi, everybody. So I am Wendy, the Director of Financial Aid for South Bend-Elkhart. I did just post my email address in the chat. We will definitely talk about general financial aid questions. Please don't post any of your private account information, because we do want to save that just for you, but we'll do our best to get everything answered. By now, most of you have already applied for financial aid, so I'm not going to be going into great detail, but just kind of want to remind you where to go to find the answers to your questions, and then definitely reach out to us when you have questions. So in my Ivy, I do want you guys to really play around when you click on student and then billing and financial aid. This is where you're going to receive a lot of information. So when you click on the billing and financial aid screen in my Ivy, the left-hand side of that page is all about billing. So setting up a payment plan, seeing your bill, setting up a refund preference for any extra financial aid, everything that you need about billing. On the right-hand side are all of your financial aid options. So seeing your financial aid awards, applying for Ivy Tech scholarships, which you can have in addition to your traditional financial aid. So make sure that you do that. You can request a student loan. You can see your financial aid requirements. So just any financial aid or billing information is in one place for you in my Ivy. So, but we do have financial aid staff in South Bend and Elkhart. We are alternating between virtual and on campus. So you can always stop into our Express Enrollment Center in South Bend or Elkhart to get your questions answered. So in a little bit later today, I will do my best to get all of your financial aid questions answered, and just wanted to say hello and welcome to Ivy Tech.
And actually, Wendy, that's the end of our presentation. So we are at the time where there are questions. I would like to, before we go into that, I'm going to stop sharing, turn my camera back on. I got to see what it looks like once I turn my camera on. I can't see myself because there's so many of you. So I just want to comment that before we go into the questions, that today or tonight, you all joined us for new student orientation. We're right at the tail end of it, but you were not required to be here. So you all made it a priority of your own to put this first and log in to a 2-hour Zoom session to learn more about how to be a successful student. I wanted to let you know that we did research a couple years ago when I began working with new student orientation, and found that students who attended this orientation, whether it be face-to-face or on Zoom, were significantly more successful than their counterparts who chose not to attend. So I would like all of you to give yourselves a pat on the back, because you just put yourself at a higher advantage of being successful in your classes if you start in October, January, March, or in any of those future classes. So with that said, I'd like to wrap up with any questions that anyone might have, and we'll go ahead and open the floor. I am going to send a survey to all of you once we log off. So look for that to come in your email, and we'd love to hear if there's any suggestions for future sessions. And if your questions are answered, we'll say goodbye to all of you, but those of you that do have questions, please stick around and we will answer those. thank you all. Have a wonderful night. And we're here to answer questions.
So I'm working backwards on the
Okay,
list, and I saw someone that got an email about having to make payments, but they have grants and everything. I would recommend that you double check your financial aid, make sure everything looks correct. Everyone is going to get a bill, whether they have financial aid or not. So those are sent out automatically, is my understanding. So just because you got a bill doesn't mean you don't have financial aid or that it's not ready. It's just a thing that Ivy Tech sends out. And so just be aware of that information. But it's also a really good marker to say, you know, I really need to make sure that everything is in line. And so that's where you can go into your billing and financial aid and check that everything's good to go.
Thank you, Darren. And it looks like one student is asking about alternate PIN, and that I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, Shelly. So the alternate PIN number is something that you would get from your academic advisor. I'm not sure who that would be. It could be me for all I know. But ultimately, if you've met with them once, then they should have given you the PIN at that moment or had it released. And that's something that we can easily get kind of fixed for you here. If you haven't met with them yet, then the PIN is there as kind of just another checks and balance. And let me explain why that's there. I'm going to use my programs as an example. So let's say a nursing student is wanting to go in. You can run a degree audit on your plan and find some classes of what you think you need to take, but your academic plan in your degree audit is actually towards the healthcare specialist, and it's going to recommend a huge number of classes that you actually don't need, which means then you're going to be really upset when you take, you know, 5 different courses that didn't help you get any closer to finishing your nursing degree. And that is because as a nursing student, you have to be admitted into the nursing program before you can start getting into those classes. So we want to make sure that you're working with an advisor and learning about any new updates that may be going on in curriculum so that you can stay on track and finish your program in a reasonable amount of time rather than take a whole bunch of courses that are going to maybe set you back or delay your ability to apply to things. And so that's kind of what that PIN number is out there for, is just to make sure that you know the classes you need. And we'll sit there, we'll create your plan out, we'll have it all ready to go, and then we release a PIN. And advisors do it in many different ways. They'll do it through phone, they'll do it through email, they can attach it to your account so you can look it up later, all kinds of different things. So that would be the big part with the PIN number.
Very good, thank you. Now I do want to be conscious of the hour that it is. 7:30 is our wrap-up time. So what I'd like to do is all of us will be available by email tomorrow when we're back on campus or in our virtual settings. And I know that you may all log off and might still have some questions. I think we got to just about everything that was in the chat. I'm pretty sure we got to all of them. So with that said, you should all have my email addresses. I can forward you to advising, financial aid, disability support services, Ivy Cares, wherever that may be. So know that I don't mind just passing that information on, but most importantly is the email address that Catherine had touched on, and I put it in the chat a couple of times. It's real easy to remember. It's askSouthBendElkhart@ivytech.edu. And if you just remember that I have a question for South Bend Elkhart, so that email itself is looked at by Darren, you may know how many people, but there's 5 to 10 people that are always on it, always reading, always responding. So within a couple of hours, you'll have somebody responding back. So that's one that we know that we have quite a few questions. Anything from enrollment related questions, if you are wanting to know how do I register for classes, how do I take my assessment, do I have financial aid, all of those new student questions, they're there. They're also there for you as a returning student next semester or any of the following semesters. So know that that's probably the best place to start, or just hit reply to the email that I sent out to you. And I appreciate everyone saying that I do still have questions. Tyler, I see yours. So we'll have you reach out to either Wendy Railing if it's financial aid, or that Ask South Bend Elkhart has experts that are watching that as well. So we'll go ahead and wrap up the night. I appreciate all of you sharing your evening with all of us, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to now feel more comfortable if you're starting classes in a week and a half. And we are here to answer any questions that you have as you work your way through getting ready for classes. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night, and we appreciate you being here.